Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining me, Costa, on Wisdom TV, and this is the agenda on Saturday. Today I'm joined by former Ward 16 Councillor Denford Mwonzora, one of the opposition MDC Alliance Youth Assembly members. You recall that the reinstated MDCT Secretary General Douglas Mwonzora has accused this gentleman and former SG. Now, I don't know whether I should say former Secretary General Mr. Charlton Wende, the former MP for Kwazana East constituency, that on the 4th of June, when there was the takeover of the Morgan Changirai House, formerly known as the Harvest House, one of the iconic buildings in the Harare CBD, that the two gentlemen were involved in violence. So today he is in the studio. He is on the agenda to clarify what exactly happened. He is going also to take us through his journey in the opposition, the MDC, and also his time that he has served as a councillor before he was recalled just this week by the local government minister, Honorable July Moyo. Mr. Mwonzora, I must welcome you to the agenda.
Thank you, Costa. Thank you.
Let's have a talk. We would want you to take us through your journey in the MDC. Makatangarini kupinda mu msangano wa MDC, and what had happened for you to join the MDC.
Thank you very much. Thank you, viewers. I started joining MDC and participated in active politics end of 2001. My first program, or my first national program, was the burial and the funeral of the late Kwazana Member of Parliament, Lenmo Jongwe Nishombe. That was my first activity, my first national program after I joined the party. By then I was in Mavugu, but the one who motivated me to be where I am today is my brother, Mwonzora. By then he was the ward chairperson for Mavugu Ward 21. So that's my journey so far.
Would you like to tell us what is it that you wanted to see in Zimbabwe when you joined the opposition? Because we know that when this party was founded in 1999, it was on bringing change in Zimbabwe. You personally, what is it that you wanted to see in Zimbabwe?
Definitely, by then I was at Ngauna High School in Chipinge, but I was motivated by the level of unemployment, which was also happening throughout the country. And those things were being pushed by ZCTU. So I was motivated because by then I was in Form 4. Obviously, I was expecting to go to A level and then proceed with my education. But because of the signs of the economic hardships by then, I decided to say, I think I need to take this route. That's why I decided to participate in political activities. Because whatever happened in our private sector, be it in the academic sector, obviously it will follow us through the politics. That's why I decided I think I need to change certain things through participating in politics.
We also understand, yes, of course, the issue of unemployment is a real challenge. And it's not only for Zimbabwe now, but much more interested in the principles and the agenda of change. You know, the issue of rule of law, the issue of the abuse of human rights, among other ill treatments that the citizens have been facing, albeit implicated by the government itself. Did you share the same sentiments of human rights violations, the lack of democracy in the country when you joined the MDC?
Definitely, obviously, I've been noticing, although by then there was no social media in rural areas, but I know, and I knew that we were, in those days, we were reading more in magazines where Changirai was going to come up with different programs and so forth. So I've been seeing several torture, several human abuses under civil society, which includes the ZCTU, NC, and other bodies. That's why when I came in Harare, I make sure that I started participating in the mainstream politics. But from then, I started being active more in the NCA activities. That's why I started pushing the democratic agenda through demonstration. And at that level, I've been arrested several times in NCA, and unfortunately, on many cases, I've been given bail. Sometimes I've been given Friday arrest center. But by then, there was a serious ruthless government. The current government is also ruthless, but by then, the police at the arrest center, they were very ruthless. Because by then, they were not even hesitate to torture people inside the police cells.
Have you been tortured by the police yourself?
several times.
What kind of torture did you face?
Obviously, they were using shambles, several weapons inside the police post. You can be arrested without even any scars, but from the police post to the court, obviously, majority of those people who have been arrested by then, they were having serious scars, even struggling to walk. So there was a very, very serious issue. But this current regime, they are also doing the same, but tactfully. Mostly, they are now using emotional torture. They are now also using different tactics to torture people.
Let's talk about the late part founding father, Richard Mwonzora. We know this is one of the person who died with the scars of the police. He was beaten. I think you remember the incident in 2007. At what point did he, as an individual, inspire you to push for join the democratic agenda of change in this country?
Definitely, Mwonzora, the late icon, was one of the outstanding people in our democratic agenda in Zimbabwe. He was a fearless cadre who has the energy to confront the system. He is the first person to confront this ZANU-PF system. Remember, many people feared Mugabe by then, but he was the first person to come out clearly and confront this ZANU-PF. So under those circumstances, I have a great respect for the late President Mwonzora. But at the same time, he also managed to build a strong party with the strong people, a strong institution. And it's not easy. There are many parties that have been formed before MDC was formed. There are also many parties that have been formed after MDC. But those parties actually died natural death. But for the Mwonzora institution, is still existing, although there are some squabbles here and there, but it's an institution which was built on Changirai. But so he was a natural leader who was able to identify and nurture people. Right now, we now have one of the most popular people in our country, who is Nelson Chamisa, who was groomed and nurtured by Mwonzora. So in my view, Changirai was a great leader. If he was not a great leader, he was going to die with this party. But if you see currently, people are actually squabbling, actually contesting, actually making efforts to be on top of that party through this party which was built by Mwonzora. So under those bases, I'm of the view that Mwonzora was the best leader of our time.
That prompts me to ask you another question now. You're talking about Mwonzora having left a legacy of, his party is still surviving, but we cannot ignore the fact on the ground that right now his legacy is being torn apart, because you have the Douglas Mwonzoras, the copiers and the committees saying your party president, MDC alliance leader Nelson Chamisa, violated the constitution when he rose to power, when he assumed power after the death of Mwonzora. What would you say about his legacy now?
As an individual, I think his legacy is very clear. He has managed to build a strong party, despite the temporary setbacks from the Mwonzora and the Cooper and other people. What we can also assure you, is that when the party grows bigger, obviously it will also be bigger with its problems. But what is correct is that how to deal with those problems. And even during the liberation struggle, we have known those who are saying Morris Nyat, who sell people at Nyadzunya. So this is not new. People can actually sell this struggle. And if you know the character of one Douglas Mwonzora, I think he's one who was very, very power hungry. Even in his days in Zoom, after reading, he was actually reading a faction of a party with less than 10 people. So that's his character. I also participated in the NCA Congress in 2006, if not mistaken, at HICC, where he wanted to topple Professor Maduk. By then, when Maduk was elected in spokesperson. But his character, he strived from divisions, he strived from toppling people. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have people. But he's a schemer, but at the same time, he always fails. And under this kind of situation, under this current squabbles in the party, definitely he's going to fall.
There are two things that I need to ask you about Douglas Mwonzora. This is one of the men that people view as a reputable man, especially looking at his participation in the constitution-making process. And he beat Nelson Chamisa in 2014 to the Secretary General post. Surely this is not a man to undermine.
Yeah, thank you. I think I need to answer in this way. First of all, Douglas Mwonzora is not a reputable person. If you go and go around town, even in other small towns throughout the country, there are several lawyers who are operating successful law firms. But for information, Douglas Mwonzora has been a lawyer for over 30 years. But currently, in 2020, His law firm is operating in a 2-room cottage in Eastville. As we speak. And while lawyers who have been from school 5 years ago, they are now actually operating in a better place. So he's not an organized person. But at personal level, I also want to thank his wife, my better. If it was not because of his wife, by now Douglas Mwonzora was going to be a lawyer. I told Douglas Mwonzora. But because I'm a hard-working wife, I focused. Thank God, but I want to assure you, it's not true Douglas Mwonzora is an order. When he was the SG at Harvest House, Douglas Mwonzora left Harvest House. It's more like a brothel. There was no sewer system, there was no motels, there was no even bond paper, even there was no electricity, even any facility which people can use in various bathrooms and toilets. So this is the kind of Douglas Mwonzora. But thank God, soon after he left, there was Choton Wende. I think you saw it, everyone saw it. There was serious renovations at Harvest House. So Douglas Mwonzora has no legacy to tell Zimbabweans. Actually, people who are supporting Douglas Mwonzora right now, they don't know the real Douglas Mwonzora. When he was SG, he pretended to be representing various activists. At my personal level, he represented me 3 times. When I was accused of assaulting Eton Mangoma, he came and represented me. He represented several comrades on Francis Machimbi and so forth. But as soon as the party received the government grant, Mwonzora always chaired the finance committee, the finance and admin, and present receipts
for payment. He was supporting to be paid first before renovation of Harvest House, before even funding party programs, before even paying salaries for workers. So that's his character. So it's not someone who is genuine, who is someone who is clean. It's not. It's only people who don't know Douglas Mwonzora. But let's look at now this Douglas Mwonzora. You have just mentioned that when you were accused of assaulting Elton Mangoma, recently he have also accused you of, fronting violent youths, at the handover takeover which happened on the 4th of June. You and your Secretary General Charlton Wende. Would you like to tell our viewers what exactly happened?
He is a liar. At one time, when I was accused of assaulting Mangoma, we were together with Mwonzora. Soon after the National Council at Harvest House, we had gone to Zindoga shopping center. We wanted to take my bonds with Douglas Mwonzora and one of his aides. Whilst we were standing at Zindoga, Mwonzora showed me a message in his phone saying, Patango Papa Harvest, Mangoma was assaulted. And we drove Mwonzora to come in Harvest House. Mangoma is now at Morgan Changalai place in Highlands. Soon after that, Mangoma accused me and other people of assaulting him. This is a case which he knows, and he actually represented me, Doug, in court because there was evidence. I was in Zindoga and I was acquitted on that one. And he knows most of these allegations are not true. But one of the issues which Doug knows very much is that myself, Jennifer Ngazore, I'm not weak and I'm not even scared for any threats. That's what he knows. That's why sometimes he always accuses me of anything. But one thing which you can assure you, Doug wants to be a president. But he always focuses his fight on Jennifer Ngazore. Just me, a secretary, a councillor in my brain. So what it means, which he knows, I've been working with Doug in various platforms. I was his campaign manager during the 2014 Congress, 2011 Congress, when he wanted to be spokesperson. I know his weakness. So, but he knows that Doug knows that Jennifer Ngazore is not a pushover and is not a weak. That's why he always focuses. He's focused on me.
I understand all this.
But on the allegation in Harvest House, the allegation that come with photo used at Harvest House, that's not true. After hearing the news that the Harvest House has been taken over with the assistance of the army, I drove from my home in Sendosa and I came in town. When I came in town, I saw Harvest House. There was barricaded. There was also many police officers, including the army, who were barricading the road along Ambo and Nelson Mandela.
You mean the military?
The military. And I engaged the military with other comrades, with Honorable Simon Chamisa from Bari. And they said, you should go and report your issue to Central. When you go to Central, they said you should go and engage the military who are at Harvest House. So we never engage in violence. Actually, the people who were at Harvest House, by then time I arrived, we were less than 6 people. But we were also the guards to confront the police, say, why did you assist this tag to invade our offices? But whatever their issue, we all have the right to end harvest house. So these are the issues. So whatever the allegation which Dag might profile on myself or on my character, those are not true. But the nature of Dag Mwonzora is a liar.
Oh, so a liar, or now with a president now at the Extraordinary Congress. What do you think is going to happen?
Whatever, if you go and check with other candidates from that party, there is Mwonzora, Kupe, Komich, and Douglas Mwonzora. Only those people who doesn't know Mwonzora can actually vote for him. If you go in town, there are several people who are not Mwonzora. But that is reparity, ana order. At 30 years, I a law firm, I got 2 rooms in law firm. That is the character. So those people want those that Dag, kuti dagamira say, why you don't vote? But one is the even Wangazo we Nakumberu, I got a president. Whatever the little which might come party covers can be diverted.
But we also hear that in your party, in the MDC Alliance, there were abuse of funds.
I'm not sure, but for the first time, Comrade Costa, for the first time, soon after our President Chamisa assumed power, he mandated the National Council. He brought in a report saying that all party funds should be audited by an independent body. For the first time, even during the terms of Morgan Tsvangirai, there was no such resolution. But soon after that, but when that resolution was made, Dag, in his thinking, thought the investigation or the audit was going to touch on his previous record when he was the SG. But it's documented. Our funds were being operated from Stewart Bank. It's documented. They are received, there are transfers where his law firm has been receiving money from a meeting which he chaired as finance and admin chairperson before Mike Coupe was the chairperson. So Dag knows that, and Dag is as ramp because he knows it happened.
Sakagatu Jhaumari Dag.
No to Dagajiga. Dag has no capacity or authority or right to be president, president credibility. Because by virtue of being the chairperson of finance and admin committee
in the party,
and he bringing receipts in the finance committee, which is the meeting which he is chairing, on a corporate governance, on a normal circumstances, he was supposed to task his deputy Pariwa to chair that meeting because he has interest in those things. But if we go into all the minutes which we have, all the minutes which we have, he was actually chairing the same meeting and allocating money to himself, to his law firm. But at the same time, when he was campaigning in 2011, in 2014 to be SD, he was actually saying, you need to vote for me, I'm a lawyer, but I represent activists for free. Anyone who will be arrested within the party, I will represent for free. But at the same time, after getting the government grant or any funding from anyone, he also quick to bring in receipts for payment. So when President Chamisa instituted the issue of auditing party funds, there was a fear in the thing of Douglas Mwonzora that I think this man is trying to audit my abuse. That's why he started accusing. But for your information, President Chamisa is not a signatory to any bank account, both from the Stewart, which used to be operated, and the current CBZ. I know he's not a signatory. So is there anyone who can abuse funds without being a signatory? But he knows he's a liar. President Chamisa has got no record of fraud, of anything. If you go and check in the society, he is a real threat to the system of Emerson Mnangagwa. But did we ever seen anything before Zach or before anyone else where they are saying they are investing Chamisa on this issue? He knows he's a liar. Those are political messages that Dag, just to equalize his shortfalls for Chamisa.
Oh, Councillor, I hear now about Douglas Mwonzora and all these allegations of abuse of funds and so forth that you're mentioning. But quite frankly, we also hear some stories about the council. And would you just like to tell us, you have been in the council, I think, for nearly 2 years now. How was it to work as a councillor?
I think by, if I had not because of this recall, by August, I'm going to be three years in the council. Yeah. And I knew of the challenges and also the setbacks. But one thing which I want to tell you, Costa, is that we also need to improve on our institutions. Our institutions our public institutions, they don't have what we call serious benchmarks that avoids some loopholes. So there are certain policies and also certain laws that needs to be changed so that at least we strengthen this system to avoid looting. But what I can also confirm is that during my stay at council, as a councillor, I never been accused of anything because I've never done any such of kind of things. One thing which you should also know is that, and even the viewers, is that in the council, there are several bylaws and the constitution that governs our operations. So any policymaker or any councillor who want to go far in terms of his political career, they should constantly read those bylaws and also the constitution so that you won't be seen outside the law. One of the fundamentals is that, for example, if I have my brother who want to benefit anything from council, the law says I should recuse myself because I have an interest in that matter which is being discussed either at committee level or at council level. But most of the people who have been accused before, they always forget that part. They want to sit at a meeting, but according to the law, no matter because you have interest. So my point is we need to come up with a time where we need to strengthen certain laws, certain policies within our council so that we are able to avoid. But the other point, there is a clear demarcation of the operation of the policymakers and also the management. So whoever I follow them until executives, I am outside the law, I am within the law. So whatever the allegations that have been proffered, those are allegations which can also be tried. And I have of the view that whatever the allegation should be investigated, to hand over to relevant people without using politics. Majority of the people, they want also to settle political differences through local authority. And at the end of the it will divide the local authority. What has been happening in parliament, if that thing can come at town house or in various local authorities, there will be serious disaster. But remember, local authorities deal with the daily issues of service delivery, the issue of safe water, drinks, and even the issue of roads. So sometimes people should also try to separate what is happening in parliament and their role, and also what is happening at town house, even in various local authorities. But there should be a clear demarcation, because whatever the local authorities will do will affect people, because people also expect daily service delivery from the people. But there might be allocation, but I believe as an individual, but the majority of the people, they are compromised. They are compromised in a way, you could can I make a mistake in his life. No,
Mr. Mwonzora, I understand all these explanations, but let's look at Ward 16 itself, where you have been a councillor for nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
What are the challenges that are faced by the residents in this ward?
Yeah, thank you. There are several challenges. Those challenges are emanating from my consultation meetings. I have done a number of consultation meetings soon after being elected as a councillor. Those meetings informed me on what I am supposed to do at council level. So in my ward, we have about 16,000 properties, 13,000 are households. Then the rest are shopping centers, churches, and so forth. But they have, and amongst those properties, we have about 19 suburbs. Those suburbs emanate from Sunningdale, Sangana Inn, Madokero, Stotford, Westley, Mkwisi, Matidoda, Maranatha, Ashton Park, Bloomingdale, Hague Park, Cotswold Hills, Mayborough, Greencroft, Sendosa, Zambezi Flats, Sherwood Park. So those suburbs, they have different challenges.
Good.
From my consultation. If you go to Madokero, there is serious issue which emanates from the high rate of robbery cases. Robbery cases in Madokero. Then also, if you go to Sendosa, majority of those people in households, which is Trafalgar, Johnson, and so forth, most of those areas, they have no water for over 17 years. If you go to various suburbs, they got their own challenges. If you go to Mayborough Central and also in the Ashton Park, that area is dominated by pensioners who are earning less than 70 RTGs. That's why when we do our donation through Jagude, I focus more on those areas, because most of the people, when they think of Mayborough or Harare West, they think of Westgate Bluffview, without knowing that there are also pensioners who are in Mayborough, in Ashton Park, or Rutambura. So each and every suburb, they have their own problems. If you go to Maranatha, they have a serious challenge. That suburb was built so many years ago, but up to now, they don't have electricity. So it's an issue which we've been working on, and by now we're now at an advanced stage through with my MP to engage ZESA, to engage residents, so that we're able to assist.
So in brief now, I understand that these suburbs face different challenges. So in brief, what would you just like to say, this is what I have achieved during my time now?
Thank you.
I have managed to do this for the residents.
Thank you. I had a clear manifesto when I was campaigning. Those manifestos were about 20 points. Those points include that I should find a solution to Sendosa water crisis. But I'm glad you can go and visit. There are some areas and some streets in Sendosa who have no water for over 20 years, but currently they now have water. Over 17 years old, but currently they now have water. So to me it's an achievement because I've engaged people, various engineers, various stakeholders, so that they can come up with a solution. And one of also the achievements is the issue of the extra pump that has been issued at Blue Lagoon. Council commissioned under extra pump so that they can increase water pumping in Sendosa. So this issue also benefited some parts of Meborain, Greencroft, and Sandridge. But obviously not enough because we are now experiencing more water leaks because our underground pipes, they are now edged. So therefore, whenever there is an increase in water, we also experience an increase in water leaks. So this is an issue which we also wanted to deal with. But there are many issues and achievements that have been done. As a constituency, we're also trying to find a solution to say we need our community hall in this area because we didn't have a community hall. But I'm glad during this time we have secured that place. We now have a secured place to do a modern community hall. Then that place, obviously, it will be finished soon because obviously we have identified the ground. But the other issue we also achieved is the issue of the smart issue. When we want to build a smart city, we have an obligation to put in certain policies. So what we have done is that there are some stands that have been identified in Westerly. And I pushed as a local councillor saying we've been mandated by the party to go and build a smart city. And we have made a resolution that there will be smart housing initiative in Westerly. So you will see a nice suburb which will be built anytime soon. Even these people can actually build from their own resources, but they should follow council plan and also council issues. So these are the issues which I also achieved. There are certain issues, even the donations. We've donated almost 4,000 households who have been donating various goods through our initiative because we've been fundraising. We didn't even use our single cent, but we're engaging stakeholders, we're engaging churches. We've done many meetings and consultation. Of late, since before I was being recalled, from the day I was elected as a councillor, I have documented through my Facebook and also through my records. I have done over 33 feedback meetings, including reaching various stakeholders. So these are one of my achievements.
Mr. Mwonzora, we wanted to close this discussion, but obviously we cannot close without you, a youth assembly member. We would want you to understand from you, your party president is right now in the middle of a storm. What are you doing to secure, as you call it, the People's Project? What are you doing as a youth assembly?
No, there's no storm cost. There's no storm at all.
Oh, you know, your MPs are being recalled from parliament. You as councillors are being recalled from council.
I understand.
Surely this is
there's no storm cost. They think, these rebels, they think they've recalled an individual. But the people who voted me, they know what they want. I have the backing of the people. Most of the people who were recalled, they were elected. This Kupe thing, this Mwonzora thing, they were rejected by the people. When we had gone to election in 2018, I had a candidate for Kupe. He lost in all the polling stations.
But they are now in charge.
This is just at the beginning. We are now in a mood to remobilize. We have a duty to stop this. But obviously, in my view, the solution lies in politics. The solution lies more than politics. So we are now reorganize ourselves, remobilize, re-educate people so that at least we are able to reclaim what belongs to us.
Viewers, thank you so much for following News MTV. We are speaking to the former Ward 16 councillor and MDC Alliance.
Remember, I will be back.
Yes, youth assembly member, Denford Mwonzora. Your parting shots to our viewers.
Thank you. I want to assure the residents from Ward 16 that I have seen your messages, your calls, even your texts. I know what you want. I know what you voted for. I've also seen the party which you voted for. And I will assure you, I will never betray you. I will never follow money on besides of principle. So on that basis alone, I will be straightforward. Whatever the challenge is, I'll come back to you and consult you.
Thank you, viewers, and continue to follow us. Like our Facebook page, newszimbabwe.com, and follow us on Twitter at newszimbabwe.com. And for more of these stories in greater detail, visit our website, www.newszimbabwe.com.